Now the same people are doing that with AI.
Oh yeah, the same criticism. Well, not.
I mean, there was stuff on Wikipedia that wasn't supposed to come out to the public, so.
Oh well, the thing is
Like,
there
even
there
defense
are
stuff.
there are criticisms of it in the sense that to some extent it's not a peer-reviewed journal. Of course, peer-reviewed journals have problems just as well.
Yeah, everything's opinion.
Being peer-reviewed, yeah. I mean,
I think
it's
a really
whose
good
opinion?
fact- I think it's really good facts, records to use.
Whose opinion is what they're arguing over? You know, if it's somebody in my club, my social silo, then I think it's a good resource. But
It
if
sounds like-
it's
sounds like
from
politics,
you know
doesn't it?
anybody can participate. No, that's evil. Don't use that.
Oh, the news media skewing the world, yeah, that's what Alpha said.
But when you think about it, it's one big cacophony of opinions. Whose opinions should you trust?
And don't base it on opinion.
And well, I think what's really important for you guys, and for me as well, is that we develop the ability to criticize information ourselves, not just like always take our information from the New York Times and think, wow, they're the New York Times, they should be right. But what about the Washington Post? And sometimes the Washington Post criticizes writers from the New York Times. And what about I mean, you could say that you need to approach all of these and be critical yourself, not just accept all these resources as these are certainly correct. If
We
it's
never make breakthroughs if we ever just took it for granted, didn't question.
I don't know if you were following the news on the election day yesterday, but it occurred to me that when we're talking about Hegel, and I don't know if it made sense to you to go through the piece of the master servant or master slave or lord and lord and bondsman or whatever. But the idea of this dialectic between consciousnesses that now become self-consciousnesses, and you yourself have a dialect even within yourself, and then within friends, and within other people, and within other groups, and groups to groups, and so on, so that you see there's a need for sociology to bloom, because you're talking about people in groups, and people in groups believe certain things, because this dialectical process, is going on between groups as well. But another aspect of it too is that even the socially constructed reality, and that's the phrase we use today, and that came from a book which I highly recommend.
That exact phrase I put in my answer for your quiz on Hegel's.
Yeah, I may have mentioned it before, but the same semester that I was taking 19th century philosophy, which is 18 whatever, so that's Hegel, right? So Hegel and his contemporaries. I also had Intro to Sociology, and the first textbook, among others, for that one included Invitation to Sociology by Peter Berger, who's the author of this book. And I enjoyed that one so much, but it was kind of sociology light. So I went to the bookstore and saw that they also housed this book right next to the Invitation to Sociology textbook. Now they have them arranged. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Textbook stores used to have like this course, and here's the books for this course. But here's some other books that are associated with this course, so you can, because they're all clumped by groups of courses, right? So you could see what other books are kind of affiliated in, at least the faculty's thinking. with a particular course. So I found that one, and I bought that one as well, and read that one, and it was much better, much more detailed, and tied in beautifully with Hegelian philosophy, because you're faced in the social construction of reality with social groups interacting with each other within a system of social classes over time, create concepts, mental representations, Begriffs auf Deutsch, with and those concepts become objects. Those are available to other members of society to assume and portray. The reciprocal social interactions are said to be institutionalized behaviors, and objects. Even what we think of, we all learn it within those cultural groups as well. And so it becomes an issue of the sociology of knowledge. That's cute. Those little libraries that you could find on the street.
Yeah, when you talk about the needs of the many, the needs of the few, so go to the start, track start. As we've been talking about Hegel, and then we're going to talk about utilitarianism today. Sociology is like integral and you can pull it in and out of there, and it's just so like very similar to what they're talking about. So I don't know how you could have philosophy without the sociology aspects.
So the official inventor of sociology, and by the way, you have even a critique of the word sociology, because when you coin a word, you're supposed to use just one language root for both parts or all three parts or whatever. And sociology is a hodgepodge of Latin and Greek. Theology, of course, is the Greek for study of, but socio is Latin. So Comte made a faux pas, which is French. He's French, by the way. I just briefly mentioned him, but he's positivist, and he's absolutely of the mindset that we can create a science that's absolutely positive about things. But another aspect of his thinking that I wanted to mention is he's an atheist, believes that religion, the traditional religions are all bad, but nonetheless religion is absolutely essential. As a sociologist, you need a community to feel belief in a common set of norms, and that's where it comes from. It's from a religion.
Yeah.
So he argued that what French society needed to do was replace the traditional religions with a state religion. And so you would replace, you got to come up with things where you basically can worship them as a member of the state, as opposed to, say, a church. Karl Marx took his approach and applied that to his suggestions for communism. But the contrary one, which I can't, we don't have a smart board, but I can't for that. But John Stuart Mill is in agreement with Auguste Comte on the problems with religion. He was raised as an atheist by his father, but at the same time he's also convinced that you need religion for the community to be coherent and moral. And as a result, gosh, what are we going to do? Well, we have to replace the traditional religions with a religion of the state. But his conception of the kinds of things that were important for the state religion were slightly different than Comte. One of the things, for example, was that it should be voluntary. Comte thought, showing up at state parades and state holidays, remember holiday is holy day, is mandatory. You have to enforce it, and that's where Karl Marx definitely picked up off of that. So, when the Russians have a May Day parade, you have to go.
How about North Korea?
Your boss will be there, and he's going to take roll the same way as he would if you had been at work. You know, that's the, Korea I'm sure is the same, North Korea, yeah. China too, probably. Would imagine so.
Military,
Mao,
kind of.
Mao is theoretically a communist, although I would say he's primarily a Chinese imperialist, basically. But, well, he's dead, but, you know. But for John Stuart Mill, the state religion should be voluntary. And by the way, we pick up after that when we have a 4th of July parade. Your boss doesn't say you have to be there. That's voluntary.
Voluntold.
Well, you know,
That's what the military
it
term
depends
is.
on your thing. And we are loaded. We have temples, state temples. You know, so if you go into Washington, you see that a lot of our monuments are built as kind of a Greek temple would be. You know, the monument to Lincoln, which Trump puts backwards, by the way, when he tries to show where his arch is going to be. It's just in the news. But lots of those are built in a temple-like structure. Plus the original Constitution is there for you to go see. Plus they have the flag from Francis Scott Key's poem. You know, does our flag still wave? That flag is in the big glass case as you come into the one temple-like structure in D.C. So
Have you been there?
yes, yes.
Have you been to the Masons Temple in Virginia?
I never made it into that one.
That is
I
the
never-
same thing, the way you just described it, Lincoln. It's built the same kind of way.
I never made it into that
Crazy.
one. The 4.5 years I lived in Fort Meade when I was stationed at the no such agents. The NSA. No such agency.
They call it
National
defense-
Security
It's
Agency.
more like the Defense Department nowadays, but yeah.
I haven't been there since 1987.
I was there 2010, and Bowling costumes brought in the airspace, so we got to see all that stuff.
However, while we lived there for 4.5 years, we spent every other weekend visiting Washington, D.C. We had our membership at the Smithsonian. So at the time, you can tell this is long ago, we were able to park our car in the lot right up against the building of the National Natural History Museum, one with the dinosaurs. And we were members of the club. We could take our kids down to the buffet in the restaurant there. But we would park there and then walk to whatever exhibits we wanted to go see in the entire Smithsonian because we had been members. It's actually free, but the membership did give us the parking plus the admittance to the buffet and all that kind of stuff. You still had to pay, of course, for the buffet. But it was great because the kids loved it and the kids could eat all they want of all they wanted, you know, which, you know, that you can't beat that. And, you know. When we felt like it, we could actually park at the White House because on Sundays, the parking in front of the White House was open parking. And so there were a lot of days when we just parked there. And that was just fun because we parked. We even had lunch on the tailgate. I had a Ford at the time. And we could sit on the tailgate and eat lunch right there at the Washington Monument. And all these cars are driving by looking for parking. And they just didn't read the sign that said Sundays you could park here. It was just silly. However, yeah, so I spent 4.5 years taking my family to all the kinds of things. Those museums, they change their exhibits so frequently you can never actually see everything in any of those museums.
Yeah, I took us 4 times at the Aerospace Museum over there. And every time we went, like I said, there'd be different exhibits.
Be different exhibits, yeah. And there's so many, and there's other things besides. So we would also go to the National Zoo up on Connecticut, which is where the National Zoo was. You had to drive there, of course. It's quite a distance.
You ever been to the Library of Congress?
Yes, Yes, you used
I
to go
slept
in.
there while we were there.
You slept there?
Yeah, Biden's inauguration, we were his, the guard unit there. Was there.
Oh.
We slept on the marble floors in there for a week, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I got pictures of it.
Oh, jeez.
It's really nice though. We got to go in and see things that you never get to see as a regular people. Like we were in the Capitol building too, we slept in there too. So.
President Trump wanted to make sure that no books were allowed in that Library of Congress that were improper books. And of course, the librarian, he fired her. He fired her, the librarian, the head librarian of the National Congress, because. Pardon?
That's so surprising.
I mean, because she said, "This is the Library of Congress. Our job